I don't think.
2, 1. All right, and we are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the J&J podcast. We're going to be talking about a lot of different crazy things that have happened. I think we're going to start to need to increase our shows from once a week to twice a week because we got some crazy things going on. We're going to be discussing a lot of different things. Before we get into it, I kind of want to share what the subjects of what we're going to be talking about. There's a lot going on right now. Um, so, first off, 25 states to go against Biden in defense of letting illegal immigrants come in. So, Texas Governor Abbott, he's in a border dispute right now with Biden. We're going to read his statement. I want to get your take on that, Jeff. Um, Republicans rebuke efforts to kill immigration deal to help Trump. Trump is likely to be RNC nominee. Conor McGregor has released a trailer for debut film Roadhouse. And then AI is getting out of hand. Taylor Swift is the subject of fake AI images being shared.
I
That's
saw that. I saw that.
going crazy. And the Swifty army is pissed, man. And they are going after that like nuts, which, I mean, again, I don't blame them. But we're gonna get into it. Which one of these stories?
Well, that's what's trending on Twitter right now. It's trending on Twitter. Trending on Twitter is the Texas immigration.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So right now, have you seen anything that's gone on with with the Texas governor Greg Abbott just immediately defying Biden? Have you seen anything regarding that?
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe not so seen. I was on Twitter Spaces just before here while I was writing out my offer with Gary Cardone. They were talking about it right in there.
So I want to pull that up and what the statement that he issued. So I think it's really important because what's happening is, in case anybody who's been under a rock, is there's been so many illegal immigrants coming across the border in droves to the point where it is overwhelming the airports that they're filling up. It's overwhelming where they're being shipped to. It's insanity. The fact that we're just letting people come in. And now you have people who are conspiracy theorists thinking, well, there are these votes for Biden. And
yeah.
it's
By the way,
causing.
I want to push back, and I'm trying not to interrupt, but I don't think that's a conspiracy theory at all.
Well, I'm stating it as what people are now stating it as, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, so I want to get into what Governor Abbott said, and I'd like to read it. Have you read
Right?
the?
No, go ahead and read it. I've just heard it. I've seen it trending. I went to Twitter.
All right, so he made a statement a couple days ago. Maybe it wasn't a couple days ago, but basically put a statement, and then he. Let's see. That's not it. I apologize.
Every Thursday at 8, while he's looking this up, subscribe. We'll be going live streaming. We might be doing it 2 times. Thursday at 8, click like, subscribe, and share this to spread the good news or the right news or, just exactly what the J&J podcast is all about.
Yeah, so right now what is happening is Texas has so this is, all right, from here it is. Perfect. Okay. I wanted to get straight from the source. I apologize. This is going to be straight from the source. It's literally from the state of Connecticut. Excuse me, state of Texas. So Governor Abbott issued statement on Texas constitutional right to self-defense. So this is the full statement here. This is, I think, what is important, what needs to be shared. So I'm going to read a majority of it. The federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states. The executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal laws protecting states, including immigration laws on the books right now. President Biden has refused to enforce those laws and has even violated them. The result is that he has smashed records for illegal immigration. Despite having been put on notice in a series of letters, one of which I delivered to him by hand, President Biden has ignored Texas's demand that he perform his constitutional duties. President Biden has violated his oath to faithfully execute immigration laws enacted by Congress. Instead of prosecuting immigrants for the federal crime of illegal entry, President Biden has sent his lawyers into federal courts to sue Texas for taking action to secure the border. President Biden has instructed his agencies to ignore federal statutes that mandate the detention of the illegal immigrants. The effect is to illegally allow their en masse parole into the United States. By wasting taxpayer dollars to tear open Texas's border security infrastructure, President Biden has enticed illegal immigrants away from the 28 legal entry points along this state's southern border, bridges where nobody drowns, and into the dangerous waters of the Rio Grande. Under President Biden's lawless border policies, more than 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed our southern border in just 3 years. That is more than the population of 33 different states in this country. This illegal refusal to protect the states has inflicted unprecedented harm of the people all across the United States. Can't talk tonight, guys. I apologize. So then he goes on, triggering what the articles and the clauses, which reserves the right to state of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Clause 3, to invoke Texas' constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. The Texas National Guard and the Texas Department of Public Safety and other personnel are acting on that authority, as well as the state law to secure the Texas border. So that's what Governor Abbott posted a few days ago. Now, what has changed since then is now other states have come out and have started to back him up on this and say, hey, listen, we totally are with you. We agree, and we're standing in solidarity. And now, one of the things that I found that was, to me, like almost shocking is looking at this right here. This. So, border update. 25 Republican governors have now issued a joint statement in support of Texas in its border dispute with the Biden administration. These are all the states. This is Texas, the one that's in dark gray. And then you've got all the states that have come out and said, hey, we stand in solidarity with our fellow governor, Greg Abbott, and the state of Texas in utilizing every tool and strategy, including razor wire fences to secure the border. We do it in part because the Biden administration is refusing to enforce immigration laws already on the books and is illegally allowing mass parole across America of migrants who entered our country illegally. I think I've talked enough about this, Jeff. How do we unpack this?
So I think we unpack it. The fact that 25 states back Texas, it's clear the whole way this is setting up to, and I hate to say this, but 25 states in it, 25 states not. It's setting up for like a civil war on what people believe in. Like we're just taking like half and half, right? And as this country, as we're going into election year of 2024, and a big issue of when Trump was saying build that wall, and people were calling him, all sorts of names, and when really, and you can look it up, Obama was the one who deported the most people, right? And then it's to me, and I guess you can put me in the theory there. And we showed a couple episodes back of them bringing people in drones, 18-year-old and above people who are undocumented, look undocumented people, and you have AOC calling for them to be documented immediately. Okay, so Governor Abbott, and listen, I know some people that are down in Texas that I talked to there, and listen, I can't even imagine. They literally live on the border, and they've talked about this issue for a bit. And the fact that it's still going on now, that was like 2 years ago when I was back on Clubhouse, and people were talking about how it's such an issue. And now 2 years later, it's not even more of an issue, but it's even more so people are flying in. So I think Governor Abbott, by not only him doing it and then 25 states backing up, I think it really makes sense that it's more common sense. I don't understand I don't understand how you can make the argument on, like, listen, I get this country was built on immigration, right? We all immigrants. We all came from somebody else, right? But when me and you, Josh, were in Barbados, it was a beautiful country, which has now fallen off a little bit since then, I've heard. But I remember being like, man, shoot, I go live here. It's like paradise, right? And they were like, well, you can't really do that. Here's the process to it, right? Or you'll not, have to live here. There was a process, right? And you had to go through and become that. America, we have a process, but nobody's following it. And we're like the front of the line. And there's been multiple points of Biden saying, literally, and I quote, come on down, hey, the border's open, and Kamala. And now you have people saying, whoa, hold up. And they're opening up sanctuary cities in Connecticut, New York, and even New York. Yeah, we don't want them anymore.
This is turning into insanity. Right now, with the statistics of what Governor Abbott put in that letter, he said that over, and I don't understand why my thing still.
By the way, that happened the other day on a big interview with, I don't know, it was Elon Musk or something. And it was somebody like that, and it came up on Zoom. I don't know why it doesn't come online.
So 6 million immigrants have already crossed just Texas's border already. 6 million, right? Now, the state that I live in, Connecticut, has 3 million people. So that's double the amount of the people that are in our state that have come across. What is going on? How is this okay? How are we able to just let people come in? Where are they going to live? Where are they going to go? How are we going to feed them? What are the sources of what's going to happen? And now this I want to get into, because this is part of this story as well. The FBI released something last week in regards to this, and we're going to read it briefly, but to me, it just seems insane. Like, I don't even know what is going on. And like everything regarding conspiracy theory seems to be true at this moment. So the FBI released this. They sent this out. They sent it to, look at all the names they sent it to. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader, Mike Turner, Mark Warner, Mark Green, Honorable Gary Peters. So the subject is the United States is facing a new and imminent danger. So, dear Mr. Speaker, Senate Majority Leader, and Chairman, as a former senior executive of the Federal Bureau of Investigation with deep experience combating dangers to the nation, we write to express our concern about a current specific threat that may be one of the most pernicious ever to the menace of the United States. The danger arises from the nature of the threat itself. Wars and espionage and bombings and riots are sadly familiar delivery systems of instability, intimidation, and insecurity. The country has faced these and more throughout the history and is held together, though not without struggle. The threat we call out today is new and unfamiliar. In its modern history, the U.S. has never suffered an invasion of the homeland, and yet one is unfolding now. Military-aged men from across the globe, many from countries or regions not friendly to the United States, are landing waves on our soil by the thousands, not by splashing ashore from a ship or parachuting from a plane, but rather by foot across a border that has been accurately advertised around the world as largely unprotected, with ready access granted. It would be difficult to overstate the danger represented by the presence inside our borders of what is comparatively a multi-division army of young single adult males from hostile nations and regions whose background, intent, or allegiance is completely unknown. They include individuals encountered by border officials and then possibly released into the country, along with a shockingly high estimate of gotaways, meaning those who have entered and evaded apprehension. So this is basically going through everything. It's stark to say so, but having a large number of young males now within our borders who could be attacking gatherings of unarmed citizens in an imitation of 10-7 and at the behest of a foreign terror group must be considered a distinct possibility. We would be remiss not to call it this potentially grave threat in the most distinct terms. The warning lights are blinking. And yet, this very real concern does not seem to be getting the focus it logically deserves. The director of the FBI has correctly assessed an elevated threat level since 10-7, but relatively little discussion has followed highlighting unsecured borders as a significant cause of this increasingly dangerous environment. It is a troubling concern that needs illumination, not avoidance. So, it's basically the signer of the government will have failed grievously in its duty to protect is basically how this ends. And then this is signed by Mr. Chris Schwecker, Assistant Director, Criminal Investigative Division, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Kevin Brock, Assistant Director, Director of Intelligence, and there's a bunch of different.
So they're from retired FBI agents.
From retired, yes. I apologize for not sharing that. But
no, it's still big. It shows that they've kind of got out the what is good, and this is what Vivek was saying is go in there and cut it and basically take down what's in there right now of the FBI, because we don't know. And they are urging this, and they're saying, hey, there's a grave concern. And listen, I would love to believe, I'm very optimistic that, anybody who comes to America, whether you're 18 or 30, you see the opportunity. I've been in third world countries to here. You come here, you're very grateful and everything. And I still believe that that could be the case, right? With that said, I think there's more of a thing. The fact that they're 18 young males and coming in, if I was, and I'll keep pushing this because we're going to 2024. Biden was the most elected president. It's election year. It's all writing on the wall going the same thing, that these 18, why would they be 18? Why? And I don't think it's really, there's two things I'll say. The first thing is to get everybody 18, documented, voting. And man, hey, if, let's say America wasn't good. I went to Barbados and the president said, hey, if your country's not good, come here. And the president was here and they said, hey, you come for a pass, but you give us a vote. I'd be like, no problem. He got me in there. I wouldn't even blame the people for doing that, right? If that's the thing. The second thing is with Andrew Tate. Okay, Andrew Tate, who riled up a bunch of young men to really fight for America. Whatever you want to say about Andrew Tate, he really 100% kind of took that whole, take ownership as a man, be a man, and really rallied some people, go, break out of the matrix, right? So for them to combat this with all these young men, to bring in all young men from another country that could be very indoctrinated in a different way, it seems like they're recruiting for a different base. So it's definitely worth concern 100%.
This is my thoughts. I think this is intentional. A mistake made more than once is a choice. And at this point, it's been 3 years since Biden has done this. This is a choice to leave the borders open. In fact, how this started was Governor Abbott was putting razor wire on the border so they couldn't cross over. And when the Biden administration found out about this, they did basically a cease and desist. Like, you can't put razor wire on the walls. And they were like, we're trying to protect the border so people don't come in. And now what is happening, whether the Biden administration likes this or not, is they have put a line in the sand where people are saying, do we need to protect our border? We do not need to. And the Biden administration is blatantly ignoring this.
Yeah, and I was going to say, listen, going to a power plant, they have razor wire over it. You go anywhere else, they have it. The one place was the border where America is still America. It's still a free country. It's still great. We still have capitalists. We still have great opportunity. Very blessed for the opportunity we have. It is dwindling between us. Right now, we're watching a strategy that could demise America with them funding all these wars and inciting stuff. There's ways where we're taking more people to create division in America and bringing people from that who might not be, citizens or believe on the American principles that we have. So it is a real concern, and at least we're making news on it here. Maybe nobody else is. That's why I'm glad we're doing the J&J podcast.
Yeah, at this point, it's insanity. I think I don't know how the Biden administration can get away with this for so long and not feel the effects of accountability, because the accountability has to happen in one way or another. And I think the one way that it's going to happen is for them naturally not to be elected for a second term. You cannot just continue to do this and let our borders stay open and just people come in. There's a reason why we created borders, for protection, for safety. There's a legal way to come in, not just push these people in. And now we're shipping them to all these different places. It's insane. It's out of hand. It almost feels like naturally that, well, they don't know if they can win the election. So now they're bringing these people all over. And when they need them, they're going to have them vote. And so they can win the next election, because they've done such a poor job in this these past 3 years that they don't think they're going to win. So now they're just recruiting voters to come across so they can just stay in power. And my opinion is if that really is the case, and that's just an extreme example, but if that really is the case, there's so much effort of trying to hide your tracks of letting people come in. Why not just do the work and make America a better place, as opposed to just letting people come in so you can get a second term? Let your results show. Don't cheat.
Yeah, so I personally believe this. I believe this whole agenda 2030, the whole push that we have, is not to make America better. I believe it's to make the world better. Is the belief of it. I believe it's to eradicate poverty. I believe it's to be a one world currency, and I believe it's to bring in a socialism type atmosphere. Listen, you come down here in Midtown Miami, you grab an Uber from Venezuela or Cuba, they will say, "Oh no, we see what's happening. This happened in Cuba." I was just talking to our boy Arturo just the other day, and he said, "Man, I think we have 5 years. I watched them do the same thing they're doing in Peru." And he's like, Peru, and he said, "You know, he was basically saying urgency." So when you have other people from a different country who now live here and came here and became citizens of this country, looking back saying, "Nope, this is why we left the country. We see the writing on the wall." I mean, and I hear that all the time, right? So, and my biggest thing is, what can we do about it? I think the biggest thing we can do is what Elon Musk is doing. I think he's calling for a fair election. But listen, I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden on Twitter you see on election day and they're shipping everybody over to this, they can have enough votes in electoral college to make it happen in this way to keep Trump out. Speaking of keeping Trump out, there was somebody, and I forget who it was, and excuse me, but basically said it would be a tragedy if someone took Trump out, almost saying like you should take him out, like calling on somebody to do it. I don't know if you can find that news. Did you see that or no?
No. What was that again?
So basically, I don't know if it was a sitcom or it was the Biden administration or something like that, but they basically hinted, I think it was, I don't want to misquote it, but I remember seeing it and not really surprised, honestly, but they were basically saying, the way it's looking for Trump might win again. It might be up to American duty to take Trump out, was basically the words. I'll see if I can find it before I kind of go off. My point in saying it is there's a push with everything to not get to this election or get it to a way where and I don't know, I guess I like Biden. I really don't think Michelle Obama, right? Whoever's going to be running, it's so weird that we don't know who's going to be running on that side or who they're picking on that side. So, I mean, we've exhausted this issue a lot. Maybe we should go to the next story, but.
Yeah, to me, it's just, this is the most important thing because this is the precipice of what is going to happen next with America. Like, I think most Americans don't want there to be an overrun of illegal immigrants coming in where we don't know if they have any crime history or don't have any crime history. Let them come in the right way. Let's vet them before they come in instead of letting millions upon millions come across their border. And then when a state wants to protect itself, like Texas, the president can't come in and say, "Hey, listen, no, you can't. You can't protect your own state." It's insanity to me. I want to get into the next story. The next story I want to cover is, and I'm not going to really go too deep on this just because there's not a lot we can share on it, just because this is a family-friendly show. But basically, Taylor Swift is now the victim of AI deepfakes, and they've been shared all across the internet today. I learned this on lunch today. I was scrolling through my X feed, and I saw like this weird AI photo of Oscar the Grouch and Taylor Swift. And it's not safe for work. It is obscene. But I was like, what in God's name is going on? And apparently that is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of them. And I'm not encouraging you guys to go out and search these. But the reason why I'm saying this is it is now like it's getting out of hand. And these AI deepfakes are now getting borderline pornographic, and now they look realistic. Thankfully, what is happening is they're getting shut down because the Taylor Swift army is huge. And when people find these, the Swiftie army is going off and going crazy. But the hashtag is Protect Taylor Swift. So right now is Taylor Swift is the victim, and I'm using that lightly, but I'm also
she is though. In all fairness,
yeah, because now they're taking from Taylor Swift being the most, arguably the most popular right now pop star in the world. She went from sweet country girl to mega pop star, and now has tried to stay out of like a lot of controversial topics. She's been in the limelight, dating all these different guys, making bad choices in men, and singing about it repeatedly, right? It's how she's built her brand. But she's also
she's a storyteller. Listen, I'm going to push back. I like Taylor. I know she might have gone woke and all that, but I do like Taylor. I'm okay with her. I think she's a way better number one pop star than Michael Jackson, who was, because I think he was a pedophile and we never talked about that, right? So
yeah. Well, listen, I'm not saying that who's better, who's not. I'm just saying arguably she is the biggest. She's pretty much stayed away from controversy. And now this controversy is because AI is crazy. Wherever you're able to type in things and like things to come across. So if you search protect Taylor Swift, you're just going to see everybody saying like protect Taylor Swift, protect Taylor Swift, protect Taylor Swift. Listen, this is a heck of a brand.
Scroll up. What's the red there?
That is
the
real. That might be AI.
Yeah.
Protect Taylor Swift, AI, protect Taylor, protect Taylor, protect Taylor. There's a reason why I'm searching protect Taylor Swift and not.
Is that trending? It's trending right now. Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Protect Taylor Swift is trending. Listen, I didn't even know this was happening until I opened up my X feed. My X feed doesn't have all this stuff. Okay, I assume this is an AI photo. Maybe it's not. I don't know if it is. I don't think she would post something like that.
Yeah, no, you can tell. You can't. I think you can still tell a lot of the AI photos.
Listen, I don't want to give too much attention to it because people are going to start looking up the photos. In fact, I saw people saying, if you search Taylor Swift AI, because at first I was like, what is going on with this? So I searched Taylor Swift AI, and there was a picture, it was a meme. It was all the angels from heaven. It said, the angels from heaven are watching you search Taylor Swift AI. And I was like, wow, this has gotten really, really bad. So thankfully, I think most of the things have been taken down, but I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now this has been used to like harm somebody's brand. And I think this is going to start opening the floodgates. And now one of the things that I wanted your opinion on, do you think Taylor Swift, A, comments on this, and B, do you think she takes any legal action?
Yeah, maybe not comments on it. She's kind of been the person. I think when they tied her up in LGBTQT or whatever, they put her in like a thing. She did come out and comment and say, hey, I didn't do that. You know, they wrapped me in that, right? When they tried to put her as a poster board. So maybe because she has spoken out on stuff to be like, hey, that's not me. So possibly. I mean, I don't know what's the comment on because like everybody can kind of tell. And here's the thing, when you build a fan base, when you build a brand like Taylor Swift has, okay, in marketing, this is why personal branding is important. And people will generally like you for you. And people then try and tear you down. You don't even have to come out. You have people come to your defense, which she's having, which is great. That's a reason why to build personal brand and tell a story right there, marketing wise. Okay. And what was the second question?
Will she take legal action?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So this is the problem with AI. So I actually just got off a call with a guy. They want me to be a brand ambassador in AI software, right? We're probably not going to do it as we're launching the 100K community. But what we wound up doing is they talked about how they can do fan posts, okay? And they can basically do the Andrew Tate method and take anybody and they can create a whole bunch of joshlewisgrowth.com, Josh Lewis Wisdom, Josh Lewis Leadership. They can take all your content and with this software, they can just repost it all the time, okay? And with AI, you can do it faster. And there's a bunch of influencers right now. We covered it before on the thing, but on the podcast. But sorry to say thing there. But Sean and you, I think I shared a few times of these AI models who you couldn't even tell if they're real or not. Because Taylor, you kind of know, so you can kind of see like, well, that's not real, right? But these were monetizing, and they're monetizing all this, all the OnlyFans model thing, and the three things that get the most clicks, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, etc., are always cars, that lifestyle, girls, and money to a point of sense, right? And that whole lifestyle and the whole Instagram, Twitter, clickbait, and then she falls into that. So I don't know who you take legal action to, which I think is crazy, which is why I think there's going to be more of a reason to really verify people, and more reason with AI going crazy. And people like, we're going down on February 1st to basically shoot in front of a green screen so I can be in control of my own Jeff GPT green screen. And I can just do that, right? And that's going to be a part of it. But there's enough out there that if they want to take me or you, they can do the same thing with us. And then who would we take legal action against?
This is what I think. I think, well, first off, if it's done on AI, it means it's done with a computer. And if it's done with a computer, it means you can track it and you can find it and who the person is who created it. So this is what I think is going to happen. Number one, I don't think she is going to comment on it because Taylor is pretty private. Even though she's out there a lot, she's pretty private, which is built her brand and given the scarcity moment. So when she shows up or when she throws a tour, everybody wants to go see her because she's pretty private.
I got to do more of that. That's ingenious. I try and stay in Miami.
Right. So we're still talking about Taylor here. And then second is, I think she is going to take legal action. I don't think we're going to know about it right away. I think we might find out in a month or two. But I actually think that she should. And this is the reasoning why. Listen, I get it. There is a market for this. There's a market for, unfortunately, there is a market for these type of images and these type of things. I think if she goes after it, it's going to make people hesitate. And I think that's actually a good thing. I think it'll make someone hesitate before they start to create a AI generated image or video that is sexual of nature, pornographic of nature, whatever it is. I think, honestly, I think this gets, and I don't know how deep she wants to get into it, but I think she has a chance to actually be able to get in front of this. So other people think twice before they start to do this. They went after the GOAT, right? They went after the greatest of all time when it comes to pop stars right now, currently living. So if that GOAT doesn't come back and say, hey, listen, you can't just do this without getting some type of consequence, then I think it's a green light for a lot of other people to continue to do things like this. And having said that, I don't think she really does need to make a statement because I think she's built up such a fan base that everybody's protecting her, that all her fans are going to protect her, and she doesn't even need to come out and protect herself. But I do think she needs to take some type of legal action regarding this because, listen, they went after the most popular pop star. She's going to have to either do something under the radar, but it gets leaked out that people are like, wow, before I do this, before I just make a random image and then I post it, I want to think twice about it because, I was put in jail for 5 years of my life or whatever it is. Listen, I don't know what the legal ramifications are. I don't know how somebody can I think this is breaking new ground. I think it's really breaking new ground of if you're to create something that looks so real, but it's so obscene, are you defaming their character? Are you defaming their name? What can you go after them legally? I think attorneys are going to have their hands full in the next few years figuring this stuff out because I think AI is really, really starting to open up the doors for things that can get really amazing, but also there's going to be a gross side to it as well. Let's get to the next story. Next story that I want to get to is honestly, I think something that is pretty interesting regarding. So do you know who Taylor Lorenz is?
I do. I know that name. How do I know that name?
So she's a journalist and she posted this, and this is going, and I haven't watched it yet. I wanted to watch it with you. She made a post about, so she was a journalist, and I think she was hired by the Washington Post, and she's a very far left journalist. And now a lot of far left journalists are starting to lose their jobs. Things are starting to go under because the market for that is being very thin from what it seems like. There's only certain people who are willing to go 150% woke, as opposed to some people are like, yeah, we want to be inclusive, but now, man, I don't know if we should do A, B, C, and D, which is insanity. And I think what's happening is the market's responding. So journalists are starting to lose their job. And now Taylor Lorenz posted a TikTok talking about this. And I want to watch it together. I don't know what it looks like. I haven't watched it yet. I wanted to live watch it with you.
This is a live reaction video. We should cut this up later.
From what it seems like, she's panicking about the total collapse of mainstream media and mass layoffs across the industry. So let's play this.
The entire journalism industry is basically in a free fall. Today, the Los Angeles Times laid off 115 employees. They wiped out their entire DC bureau in an election year. They laid off pretty much all of their sports teams. They killed their entire tech and business section. They laid off breaking news writers, social media editors. The list goes on. But what's really dark is this is just the latest in months and months and months of layoffs in the media industry. In fact, tens of thousands of journalists have been laid off in the past year. Major media companies like BuzzFeed News have completely shuttered their news operations. Time magazine also just laid off a ton of people, and Sports Illustrated basically shut down last week. Pretty much the entire digital media ecosystem that myself and a lot of other millennial journalists came up in has been completely hollowed out. And it's not just digital media sites. Local news has been obliterated. The newspaper industry is cratering. Radio is essentially dead aside from NPR, which has been gutted. Meanwhile, hundreds of workers at Condé Nast, the parent company of pretty much every major magazine from GQ to Vogue to The New Yorker to Vanity Fair, are on strike because they're also facing impending layoffs. Even mainstream national media outlets owned by billionaires like The Washington Post, where I work, and The Atlantic, where I used to work, have done layoffs. If you're a young journalist today, there's almost no on-ramp to traditional journalism. Even if you do get a job, journalists' salaries have been stagnant and even declined. And by the way, we don't make that much to begin with. I don't think people understand how bad the world would be without journalists.
Reactions to that, Josh? Let's hear your reactions first. You always let me react.
So I took some notes, and this is pretty interesting. So she called it dark. She talked about the layoffs, tens of thousands happening, and then she cited a few different places that were getting affected by it. One was BuzzFeed shutting down. Another was Sports Illustrated. She mentioned Time Magazine, and then she mentioned that The Atlantic, where she used to work, and Washington Post, where she currently works now, is getting affected by all of this. It's interesting. My initial reaction was, well, the first initial thoughts that I had were from BuzzFeed was BuzzFeed used to be one of those things that was like, it was fun news, but it wasn't real. Like, it was just like,
right. It was almost like, not Babylon Bee. What's the other one? There's a few of them. The Onion? Well, maybe not the Onion.
Yeah, but it was realistic, but it was like the top 10 things that you would want to say to Taylor Swift if you ever met her, right? It was right. Like senseless news, right?
Entertainment, let's get the news going.
I remember where they originally lost credibility with me, and I was like, you know what? This wasn't really, I didn't really care about BuzzFeed. Some of their articles I thought were entertaining, but I never really paid attention to them, is when they tried to do a hit piece on Tony Robbins. And they went after him, for like months and months and months. We're trying to dig up people, and we're like, did Tony Robbins touch you? Did Tony Robbins touch you? And Tony Robbins came out and called out BuzzFeed and said, hey guys, stop. What you guys are doing is you're now harassing people, trying to get people to say that I did bad things to them, and you're trying to get people to lie about it. Because then obviously, if any of this was true, it would come out, and it's not going to come out. And they were literally caught, like, paying people saying, hey, if you say this about Tony Robbins.
Wow, I did not know that.
Money. And Tony Robbins got pissed. And I was like, man, that's just the end of BuzzFeed, right? They've lost their credibility. Obviously, somebody looked at Tony Robbins was like, I don't like him. He's crazy. He jumps up and down. And I get it. Tony Robbins isn't for anybody. I love Tony. He's changed my life. But I get it. Some people didn't like him, and they obviously tried to dig dirt on him. Sports Illustrated, man, remember when they used to do the sports magazines and the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition? Well, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition the past couple of years had back to back. I think one year was an obese model as the cover, and then it was thumbs down. And then they had a trans model on the other one. And it's weird because I remember when they would
and those ESG points,
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I remember when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition used to come out. I mean, listen, I'm a man, so when I was younger, I was definitely a fan. I'd be like, oh, like who's on the cover? So when they started to come out within the recent years, it still piqued my curiosity, but I wasn't like, I didn't care the way I did when, you're a 16-year-old kid. But I remember it was one of those awkward feelings of looking at something and looking at it probably a little bit longer than you should, not because you find it attractive, but you're trying to find what other people find attractive to post it. And then having that self-realization where if somebody ever watched me looking at this for the extended amount of period of time that I'm looking at it, even if it's like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, people are going to think that I think it's attractive. To give you an example, the obese model and the trans model. I was both looking at them like, I can't believe this is the cover. I can't believe that this is what they're posting, and I can't believe I'm looking at this for this long. I got to keep scrolling. So the point of me saying all this is, and the last thing I'll say on that, because Sports Illustrated, I get it. They totally discredit themselves. BuzzFeed, same as well. I remember I was working in a restaurant. It was during COVID, and I pulled up the news, and the Atlantic had an article. And I forget the exact, I'm going to butcher it, but I forget the exact article, but it was like the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. Why the unvaccinated should have no more rights as human beings anymore. Something
where
about
was this? Where was that?
It was in the Atlantic. It was on the Atlantic. And I started to read it, and it was an opinion article, but it was talking about the vaccinations are out and the people who aren't taking the vaccinations are evil and they're bad and whatever it is and screw your freedom and all this stuff. All the stuff that we found out like was just completely inaccurate. But I remember it was so hate-filled. And I was like, man, I don't know how they could survive. Like, I'm sure there's some people out there who are like, hey, man, their dad got it, their mom got it, but they didn't get it. Like, now this is gonna cause somebody not to want to read the Atlantic anymore. This is a long way of saying this is what happens when the marketplace responds to what people are putting out. If BuzzFeed was putting out good content, they'd still be around. If Sports Illustrated was going to their target demographic and still doing what they need to do, they still would be relevant. Same thing with the Atlantic, same thing with the Washington Post. And I think this is just the example of people are just responding to it. The market is responding to it, and they're saying emphatically, we do not like it. This is not something that we want to put our money towards. And now these companies are feeling it in their metaphorical pocketbooks, and they have to lay people off.
Yeah, so, and I agree. And it's funny, even with AI coming on, AI hasn't replaced journalists like everybody thinks it would right away. But what will kill journalists is exactly what's going on, right? Like you're totally saying that 100%. Like having the point where people are, they're just at this point, Josh, when they're coming out so blatantly writing articles like that. Like, it's funny. That's why I wanted to acquire a press company, because I was like, who is the Atlantic? It's someone who made up and they wrote articles and they got SEO'd and they got ranked and people read them. And they just got to write headlines for people to read. And marketing is all clickbait. And I think a lot of the money came from ESG and with Sports Illustrated. I mean, I think Sports Illustrated, they went out of business officially now, or they're in the process of doing that?
So they laid everybody off. Like, this is not last week.
They just had Jake Paul on the cover, right? Talk about, someone as the most influential person in sports history. They put a YouTuber in there. So, I mean, they're doing anything it is to get clicks and everything too. So, and Jake Paul isn't the most ESG friendly guy. He's more of I wonder what Jake's going to do, because he wasn't a big Trump guy, right? He wasn't against Trump, but he's a big Vivek guy. And Vivek's a big Trump guy now. So
obviously, he doesn't like Biden because remember when he knocked the guy out and said, I had to knock him out. He voted for Biden.
Yeah, I know. Listen, Jake went from being the most hated to then his brother not doing him a favor by being the most hated. And then Jake just by being himself. And yes, he's cocky and everything, being likable and being an influential voice in sports. And now putting his position very similar to what Muhammad Ali did to put his position in and try and sway a young vote. But is he going to get the young illegal immigrants that are coming off the border? That's what we got to know. Luckily, Vivek, looks like an illegal immigrant. So for him getting behind Trump, that might work.
Speaking of this, I want to go.
I love Vivek. I don't mean that in any way. I'm just saying that one's going to get clipped later
on. Speaking of this, I want to cover really quickly. Conor McGregor. Did you see his new trailer?
No, we got to watch it. I love this part of it. Like the J&J podcast, listen, the world may end. We might not get the election. There might be a cyber attack. But, man, I can't wait till you're down here in Miami for UFC 299. And which fight is Conor McGregor coming back on?
I don't know. And remember he said that he's coming back at 185 against Michael Chandler? Yes. Dana White came out and said that's not true. He went, that's Conor being – that's – nothing's official. So Conor's still not booked, which is insanity. But anyway, let's check out this trailer. Let's live react to it together. I've watched it, but you haven't seen it. Now, I've never seen the first Roadhouse. I guess there was a movie called Roadhouse. I've never seen it.
I've heard of that movie. I haven't seen that either.
So this is a remake of it, and it's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. So let's check it out. Let's check it out together and see what we think. It's on Amazon Prime, by the way.
Oh, wait, so the whole movie is on there?
Believe so. It's going to leave in wire. House is open for business March 21st on Prime Video. Yeah.
Well, we're on Amazon Prime, and it's a Conor McGregor movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Jake Gyllenhaal movie, and Conor McGregor plays a bad guy in it.
Oh, gotcha. So, okay, let's see it.
Before we start, do you have insurance?
What?
Your coverage good? Like, you have dental?
Oh, haha.
Is there a hospital nearby? Is it, like, too far?
About like 25 minutes, I'd say.
Oh, I just slapped you. Are you all right?
What?
So you like to fight? You ever win?
No one ever wins a fight.
This ain't the Holiday Inn, pal.
I'll move it.
A friend of mine suggested I come talk to you. I own a roadhouse out in the Florida Keys. Lately, it's been attracting the wrong clientele. I can pay you good money. Judging by your car, you need that shit.
Well, I like my car.
Think about it.
I know who you are. Elwood Dalton. Big fan, man.
That guy's got a knife under his shirt. You just take a big step back and pop me in the face. You can do it.
Tell me about this bounty.
He acts all nice and shit, like he's Mr. Rogers or something, but then he beats the living shit out of you. Really interesting guy, overall.
Brand wants to take the roadhouse away from me. He wants to build some bullshit resort for a bunch of rich assholes.
I should warn you. People have a certain way of getting things done around here.
Hey, fellas. Looks like you're having a smashing night. Dalton! I got a tip for you. Don't let no one get this close.
Let me guess. You threaten me. Tell me to get out of town.
I get the impression that you can't be threatened.
Once Knox is on the job, it's over, baby.
It takes a lot to get me angry, but when I am, I just can't let go. People seem a little aggressive around here.
Is that one a friend of yours?
No, I just broke his arm.
Seems like a much needed movie for this time right here, man. That actually looks pretty good.
I agree. I'll watch it. I'll check it out.
When does it come out?
March 31st. So, March 21st. So 2 months from now. I'll check it out. Definitely.
What do you think of Connor's acting debut there? What you saw?
I mean, it's anticipating it. Like when he shows up, I'm anticipating Conor McGregor. I think he'll play actually a decent bad guy. I don't know if it's going to be hard for me to watch it and not just think that's Conor. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I actually watched it, and like even in that, like here's the thing. I think Conor, deep down, I think he is himself marketing himself. He understands marketing extremely well. Same thing with Jake Paul. Both these fighters, the reason why they do well and get paid well is they both understand how to market and say what works, right, in marketing. However, a lot of marketing is an act, and this is why a lot of marketers get really upset, right? You can make up a story, you can say something that's clickbait, you can do it. That's why a lot of marketers get a lot of hate, right? Conor gets hate, Jake gets hate, right? A lot of marketers, right? I'm sure I get hate, right? And it's funny, I was just on Twitter Spaces, and shout out to Nikeshi. She's like, man, that's Jeff the marketer, right? And I remember thinking, man, that's a bad term, but one thing that's great about marketers and one thing great about Conor, even in the whole Floyd Mayweather thing, he always has put on an act. He puts on a show. So actually, when I saw it, I was like, oh, is he going to be the bad guy? Because listen, the hater love Conor, and I know he definitely has a lot where you cannot like him. I still that Irish accent in his story, and I know he's got a little, he went to Tony Robbins and got a little clean, and then went back to his ways on this, and then broke his legs and said stuff. And it's just Conor, man. You don't know what's going to come out of his mouth, what he's going to do. However, I think it's predictable that he is the bad guy. I think it's predictable that he actually will put on a good show. And I do think he'll be, it's funny, that looks like a good movie. Jake Gyllenhaal looks like a good character in there. It looks Roadhouse. I didn't see the first one, but it's funny that they have the UFC branding behind it, right? And Conor, who is UFC, man, you're going to bring in a smart move by whoever did the movie to put him in there. Because that's going to get me to watch. I would have watched the film probably without Conor. It just looks like a cool film anyway. But then alone, it's like, man, let's see it. And by the way, this is, Mr. T. There's been a series of fighters that have always gone crossed over acting. And Jake Paul is one of them too, so.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I don't know the storyline of the original. I think it's probably similar, but it looks like a good old-fashioned guy movie that I would like to watch, and hopefully it's not woke, and hopefully it's not like
was Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback Mountain?
Well, he was. Yeah, he was.
That's all I think of now, and it's funny because I don't know, man, with movies, I don't watch too many movies, and I should, because Patrick Bet-David talks about movies like I've never seen them before. Meet Joe Black, right? And there's certain movies that I think what I'm going to do for our team as we grow is I'm going to have them watch movies with lessons on them, right? Like there's certain movies, man. And my whole life, I feel like I'm acting out a movie right now, This feels like a movie right here, like right now, sitting here with everything I'm building, right? So it's like, why do I need to watch something? But sometimes you can learn lessons. I don't think I'd be here doing what I'm doing if I didn't see the movie Founder by McDonald's. So I am careful watching a fighting movie since I did take a fight. And I don't think I marketed enough. And now that we're doing 2-a-day gym workouts with the new mastermind I'm in, I'm like, what am I working out for? Maybe I'll take another fight,
Yeah, I mean, I'm working out to be in good shape for my family.
By the way, congratulations, you not drinking any alcohol. And really, what's the app that you're on that you were sharing?
So the biggest flaw that I had was not just drinking alcohol, but the binge eating. I was looking at the money that I was spending, and I was ordering things from DoorDash, and I was drinking alcohol. So spending more money, obviously, in DoorDash, and spending money on alcohol as well. And the app that I got is called I Am Sober, and it was a way to track on like what you're sober from. And as I downloaded, I was like, man, do I have an issue like drinking alcohol? It's like, is this bad? It's like, do I need to talk to somebody? And then I started reading all the comments from people who are like, day one again. I just couldn't say no. Day one, for the 45th time again. And I was like, whoa, dude, this is tough. And there's a community there where people like share like with each other, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This, today was really hard. I went by a liquor store and like I could just hear the liquor calling to me, and I was like,
Wow.
whoa. So like it made me realize that like if you continue going down the path of just drinking every single night, absolutely can turn into a habit like that. Thankfully, it was a sobering thing to realize that I'm not on that path at all, but it is good to take a month off from drinking and from ordering out and things like that. I'm looking forward to in February being able to having a drink when I want to have a drink, not because I'm stressed out. And I realized, by the way, the cool thing is about this app is we're getting a little off topic here, but I think it's important. The cool thing about the app is like at the end of the day. So for instance, it's at the end of the day today. It's 9:00. So I am going to go to the app and it's going to say, hey, recap your day. How was your day? Right. So when it asks you to recap your day, it'll ask you, if you could see it, it's saying how many days that I've been alcohol, binge eating for free. And it says, let's recap your day today. So it says, do you have any drinks? Say no. Did you binge eat? No. And it says, how hard was today? And then it's easy, not bad, questionable, hard, impossible. So I have never had, I think, past a questionable. Easy and not bad has been my always things, because it's not like when I make up my mind to do something, it's pretty easy for me. Today was easy. So I'm going to put easy, and then I'm going to hit next. And then it says, how was your mood? And this thing, like, regardless of like this being an alcohol app or an addiction.
I know. I want to download the app just because of it.
This is fantastic because today I felt ambitious. I felt busy. I felt determined. I was tired today. I was really tired for some reason today. I felt a little bit unmotivated. I didn't feel stressed, but I felt fine. I felt a little bit cautious. I felt content. So I'm just all the ones. And I felt productive today. I got some things done today. And then I ask you, what were you up to? Right? So there's all different categories. You can add your categories. So I'm going to add podcasting because I was up to podcasting. Work, family, exercised in the morning. So exercising, and then I hit next. And then if you want to add any notes, you can. But this is the reason why I'm sharing this. So if you go into this tab where it says history, you can see what your stats look like when the day is not bad or easy, what you're doing. And basically the major takeaway that I took from this, and this should be common sense, is the harder things are towards addictions is when you're two things. One, you're bored, and two, you're stressed. If you're stressed out, then it's easier to lean into an addiction. And if you're bored, it's easier to lean into an addiction. And to me, that made a lot of sense. Whenever I was bored, I'd be like, you know what? I'll order DoorDash. I'll have a drink. Whenever I'm stressed, man, I could use a drink right now. It's been a long day at work. So it was very interesting to me about how much money I'm saving, how much calories I'm saving, from realizing that whenever I'm bored or whenever I'm stressed is when I look for something to go into and to lean into that, which I find to be very interesting. And it was a huge breakthrough for me. So now I'll be able to manage it better because I've done dry January before. I've done sober January before, like all my life, not all my life, but the past 5-6 years, I always take the month off from drinking. And this was a big awakening, not to be bored, not to be stressed out.
Yeah, shout out to Alpha Brain, but I was looking for it to show it up because here's the thing. I never really had a problem with drinking. I actually never really liked drinking. There was a point, and listen, Jesus drunk wine. We actually have some wine here, but I don't really drink. And it was funny. I was talking to Churro, and he's like, I might not drink for the rest of the year. And I do so much business, I don't have time to drink. And I'm always, working on some sort of business venture that I just don't want to be off kilter for it. But not to say I wouldn't, drink a beer back in the day. But then a beer would lead to me having wings, which is not good. And then that would lead to me texting a girl or an ex. And it's just, I noticed the trend. So I just stop. But I will say one of the things, and I love that app and I love making aware of it, because a lot of people who are if you're having a drinking problem, right? One of the guys that I helped out, and I didn't know about, he helped out himself, but it was a big point of a career before I built Changing Life Consulting, was Comeback Cam. And I got to actually check his sober date, because it means so much to these people that they have a sober date, that they beat something where they got their life back. And I actually wished him a happy birthday on his sober date. And it meant everything in the world to him. And I've done this a few times. So a few people have really had it. And so the reason why I wanted to bring up the app was for, if maybe someone's listening to this right now, and I know we had 9 viewers on Twitter Spaces, and thank you guys so much. And you're going through something like that, even me, and I'll be a little vulnerable here. Even though that's not the problem. I used to go to energy drinks. That was my vice, right? Sometimes it was ice cream, right? But lately, it's always been, when I was nervous, I'd always bite my fingers, right? So I'd anxious, I'd bite my fingers. And that's something that there's something all behind it and psychological, that I've been really trying to get to bed early, do certain things to not do, and act like that, because we all have stuff, we all have vices when we do it. And one thing that's helped out a lot of me focused is Alpha Brain. It's weird. It's a whole bunch. It's not weird. It's supposed to do that, but it's helped me be clear, focused, and see what I'm doing when I'm doing it wrong. It just hypens up. So shout out to Joe Rogan and On It, or whatever the brand is. I got it from Alpha Slice in the webinar mastermind I'm in. But it was really good. But my point in saying is, we all have different vices we go through, and until you make aware of it. And I love what that app does, is how it checks in on how your day's doing. I used to do that all the time with the perfect day sheet, and it really helped me. And it just do it on an app. I think that's ingenious.
Yeah, I think it's helpful. I do it at the end of my day as well. I'm visual though, so to see the emojis means it's pretty cool to me. Listen, I think this is a good way to wrap it up. We talked about a couple of good things. Did you want to share another story?
Well, just because, we'll just end this, because we'll probably talk about this last time. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, this is on World Economic Forum officially warns global instability could lead to catastrophic cyber event. I encourage everybody to be aware of this. I hope I'm wrong on this. I'll read a little bit, because I do think this is a good time.
Yeah, let's talk about this really quickly.
So here, let me stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna bring up an actual article today. Well, no, I'll do this one here.
World Economic Forum warned the current level of global instability could lead to catastrophic cyber attack within the next 2 years, officials said in Wednesday press conference. The vast majority of business leaders, 86%, believe such an event is possible, the WEF said, citing research in the Global Cybersecurity Outlook Report 2023. Forecast based on surveys, interviews, workshops, more than 300 business leaders of security experts. Global corporations are so dependent on technology. Currently, the half of those surveyed people said their cyber security was now a consideration about which countries will invest and what to do business and where to do business at.
So here, I want to talk about this, but I actually want to show another article from today. Let me stop sharing. And I want to go into an actual article that happened today. I have this one up here. And I know you usually run the show in the articles. I'm getting better. I'm getting like Vinny, where I'll have my talking.
I want you to share more articles and be prepared for it. Here's the crazy thing is, I've always thought that, like, man, now that our world is so relied on technology, all you need to do is press a button and you freeze everybody's lives. Like, that's it. Like, what are people going to do? Like, everything's based on this. You don't have this anymore. I think you froze. You froze. Maybe I froze. Maybe it's a cyber attack. Let's take him out and bring him back. He froze. least he froze while smiling. So I'll bring him back if he comes back in or not. It looks like he froze. Maybe it's a cyber attack. If it's a cyber attack, I love you guys all. If you can see me. Listen, I think one of the main things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to all this chaos, when it comes to maybe a cyber attack or things of that nature. We got a green screen for you.
Dude, I think there's a cyber attack happening right now. We're talking about it.
Oh no, what are we gonna do?
They're on me. All right, we're back. Are we back? We're coming back. There we are. Yeah, so I was trying to share a CNN article about the Wall Street. Here, maybe you can pull it up. I didn't even want to pull it up. I think I had too much stuff open. I really think that's what it was. And it froze. Maybe let me see if I can pull it up.
You're on a delay compared to your voice right now.
All right, well here, let me see this here.
It's like I'm hearing two different sides of you. Like I hear
Are we on? Okay, Wall Street firm hit by cyber attack that has knocked systems offline. This happened yesterday.
Let me see this.
It was the first. I know if you can pull it up too. Yeah, I feel like I'm my alpha brain. I need another shot of alpha brain. I'm getting slow right here.
All right, let me share this.
I just pull it up here because what I want to say. So we had the World the WEF talk about it, and this is just yesterday. Okay, so just if you want to read the first part of this.
So this was yesterday, January 24th. Equiland, a Wall Street firm that processes trillions of dollars of security transactions a month, was hit by a cyber attack that has knocked some of its systems offline. The company said Wednesday the financial technology firm owned by Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and other major Wall Street firms said in a statement to CNN that it could take several days before services are fully restored. In the statement, Equiland spokesperson Christopher Golick, I think, said that on Monday, the company identified a technical issue that placed portions of our systems offline. Equiland said it is working with outside cybersecurity firms and other advisors to investigate the attack and bring services back online. We immediately launched an investigation and have identified a cybersecurity incident involving unauthorized access to our systems. In other words, a hacker. We took immediate steps to secure our systems. We're working methodically to restore the involved services as quickly as possible. So they're owned by consortium Wall Street firms, including BlackRock and Bank of America, significant player in the securities lending industry through its NGT trading platform. Listen, man, this is not good news. This could be this
right. That's why I want to talk about it, because we might not be to the next J&J podcast of this. And by the way, if you go, I encourage everybody to do this. Go on Google, just search cyber attack and see how many different cyber attacks have just sprouted up. We can do it now, but go search it. It's in the news daily where there's little cyber breaches. Patrick and David talked about at the vault. He said, you know what, cybersecurity, who's that? Go make friends with them. That is going to be the biggest threat going forward. It's not going to be ISIS. It's not going to be Israel, Palestine. It's going to be cyber. That's where we're learning towards. And whoever's the most protected and secure is the most. But I'm glad we did the show with everything. My camera not working, me on this funky camera here, me getting cyber attacked. And dude, I love just seeing like 9 people come in. That's like, I think, the biggest number we've pulled on Twitter Spaces. But I retweeted this, by the way, right away. And I used the hashtags. So guys, retweet this if you're listening to this. I know it's probably late, but if you're live, retweet it. And I put protect Taylor Swift. Oh, that's Google Trends.
Yeah, for cyber attack, it increased.
Well, that's if people are searching. Just go look on go news. Just go to like Google and search.
I did, and it just shared the same story of that one story that we were talking about with Equiland. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it's definitely something we need to keep our eye on and prepare for it. And this is the only time I'd say take advice from Mark Zuckerberg, and that is to
build a bunker.
Build a bunker. It's gonna happen. All right, guys. We'll be here next Thursday at 8:00. If you aren't subscribed to the show, please subscribe to the show so we can share the good news that we are bringing to you. The J&J podcast, management, leadership, and marketing, man. That's what we're talking things, all things current events, media, and so I guess some reaction videos as well today. Jeff, you got anything to add before we take off?
No, I am on Manect. Manect is the app where if you want to connect with me, I download the Manect app, search Jeff J. Cunningham. I'm going to give a shout out to them every time until. And it's sorry to see Nicole go over at Manect, so I don't even know who's in charge of that now. But I just want to shout that out. And yeah, click like, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys so much for listening, coming on. And I've heard a lot of few people say, hey, talk this topic before. So submit it beforehand and I'll put it on. You can DM me at Jeff the Entrepreneur and we'll get those up on Instagram. Or actually you can tweet me and put it in there on JJC Entrepreneur and we'll talk whatever topics. And what day will we be back again, Josh? Thursday at 8?
Thursday. I want to do this 2 times a week. But yeah, Thursday at 8. Next Thursday we'll be back.
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, turn on the bell for notifications if we go sooner. If there's a breaking news story, we'll be out there. But Josh, thank you so much. This is one thing I always want to do with my older brother, so I'm glad to do it with you.
And I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. Have a great day.